team at that time. A year later, are you a more mature team? And if so, how are you more mature? What do you take from last year that's kind of you bringing into this?
I'd say, yes, we're more mature just by default. I mean, we had a lot of freshmen last year, so just having a year of experience under their belts, you just become more mature. But definitely, we're more mature this year just because of everything we've had to go through. I feel like we've handled it very well. It was hard at times, but we've always, fought through it. So I feel like we're more mature than we were last year.
Hey, ladies. Sean Pagano, Fox 61 in Hartford. For both of you, a lot was said about this team, 5 losses, injuries, so on and so forth. They're going to send you out west. And now you might not have to leave the state of Connecticut, right, before we get to the Final Four. Talk about exciting being seniors, being able to do that for the fans here in the state.
Yeah, I mean, just having to face a lot of adversity this season, like Kristen said, it builds a sense of maturity within you and your teammates. And I think just kind of going through that whole process and then now getting into the tournament, I think those experiences have definitely helped us, and I think it has also prepared us for a lot of things. I also think it builds on the excitement that we have going into this tournament and being able to play games. And we try not to look too far ahead in terms of, where we're going to be at, where we're ranked at, and so on. But I think just kind of building on the excitement that we've had, and just preparing this whole season is really, really the big thing for us right now.
We're really excited to be able to play in Connecticut. We have some of the best fans in women's basketball, so I know they're going to come and show out. It's just fun to play in front of a crowd like that. So we're just really happy and grateful that we were put in this region.
Back up front.
Vicki Fulkerson from the New London Day. Kristen, I was wondering, earlier this year, a coach was talking about how you guys like to play in games, but whatever you do when you're at Connecticut, you don't want to come to one of his practices because then that's his time. I was wondering, what is your emotion when you're going to a practice? Do you get frustrated sometimes when he's, harping on things? And then also, what was the last 10 days like? Because it was all him harping on things.
Practice here is definitely different, and it's hard. I would say it's very frustrating as a freshman, but because there's so many things he's harping on you about, and you're just not used to, getting called out on things, because you're usually probably the best player coming out of high school or whatever it is, whatever the case may be. But, you get used to it. You just learn to suck it up and deal with it, and you just learn to take constructive criticism. But the preparation in the past 10 days, has been normal practices. We've just been focusing on our offense and our defense and just sharpening up a few things for the tournament. So it's been good and productive.
Pat again from the AP. There was a lot of talk last year about the discrepancies between the men's and the women's tournament, and the NCAA has said they've done a lot to even things out. Can you talk about, have you noticed anything different this year? Are the swag bags better? Have they treated you better in any way? Food? Has anything changed as far as you're concerned?
I don't think, we've gotten a chance to see everything quite yet, honestly. Yeah. But, last year it was disappointing to see just the differences in what the men were able to get versus what we were provided. So hopefully this year, they stuck to their word and were able to change a few things.
Maggie Venoni from Hearst Connecticut Media. You guys have had 5 games now where you've had, all but one player back available for you guys. And then having 2 weeks of practice, do you feel like everybody's kind of found their role now? And what's it like knowing you have all 11 players available for March Madness?
Yeah, I feel like everybody has pretty much found their role and are embracing their role. Practice has been good. What was the second part of your question?
What's it like to have everybody back now?
Oh.
For this time?
Yeah, it's been great having everybody back. We're so grateful that everybody's healthy now. It just makes everything more fun and easier. It's just been really good to, be able to sub 4 people in at a time and not miss a beat. So we're just really happy to have everybody healthy and really excited for the games moving forward.
Ian Bethune with the UConn blog. Kristen, how important is to get off to a fast start offensively and defensively tomorrow?
Very important. It's just we need to set the tone early. We need to throw the first punch. You know, in this tournament, anything can happen, so we want to, you know, take advantage of starting out well early. So I guess that's the emphasis tomorrow, is to bring the energy and set the tone early.
Roger Cleveland from the Waterbury Republican American. Kristen, can you just talk about how far along Caroline has come this year and where she is right now? I mean, she led you for a while and was the leading scorer, and now she's dropped off a little bit. Do you still believe that she's going to be there in a big way in the tournament?
Yeah, absolutely. Caroline stepped up in a big way for us this year when we had a couple guys down. She really stepped up for the guard position, and like you said, she was once our leading scorer. And as a freshman, that's really hard to do. So she really handled herself well, and I was really proud of her for that. Right now, she's doing well, and she's our what do we call her? Silent assassin. Yes, silent assassin. She's still that same person. It's just the guards are healthy now, and everybody is playing. So, I mean, she doesn't have to do as much as she was doing previous or before. So, she's still the same guard. She still can score the ball. She still brings everything to the table that she once was doing before. So, yeah, that's Caroline for you.
All right, any other questions? We have time for a couple more. All right, thank you, Chris and Olivia.
All right, thank you.
Up next, we'll have head coach Gino Rama. Okay. All right, so I'm good. I don't have to respond to that? Okay.
The YouTube link's on now. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Morning.
How are you today?
Good, how are you?
Good.
All right, up next, we have head coach of the Huskies, Gino Oriama. Just a reminder, when you get the microphone, please be sure to state your name and affiliation. Coach, can you get us started with some opening remarks, and then we'll open it up for questions from the media.
Well, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, I think, you know. You play the whole season, and you hope you get to this point. And, you know, 64 teams, 68, I guess, teams did make the tournament. And as you saw yesterday, seeds and conference you play in and any of the other things really don't matter at this time of the year. You know, what matters is, are you the better team that day? And if you are, you have a chance to win. And if you're not, you have a chance to go home. So it's unlike anything else you face during the regular season. And I think we have a team that's completely comfortable with that. And you know, practices have been good, and we'll see tomorrow how it goes.
Thank you, Coach. Starting up front.
Pat Eaton-Robb with the Associated Press. Coach, can you say how Paige has been doing since the end of the Big East tournament in practice, and have you decided kind of what role she's going to have, at least during the first game?
Well, obviously, she's a little bit better. Time, you know, has helped that. We've had enough rest since the tournament. We've had enough practices. We've had enough workouts where she's had a chance to little by little, get comfortable on the court again. 2 months is a long time. Over 2 months is a long time to be away from the game. As far as what her role is going to be, we're still trying to figure that one out. We have a pretty good situation going right now. So how much do we want to change that? And, what's best for our team and what's best for Paige? I thought she handled her role in the Big East tournament good at some times, not so good at other times. So I think we'll have a better idea after today and tomorrow's shoot around.
Don Memori, Hartford Current. Gino, after they lost to Arizona last year, you mentioned that it wasn't a mature team. A year later, do you feel this is now a more mature team, maybe by what it experienced during the year, and if so, how?
At this time of the year, you're always hoping that your team has grown and your team has matured. You don't really know until you've been put through that test to see if you pass it or not. This year's Big East tournament kind of went like last year's Big East tournament. So it's hard to say this early stage of postseason, are we? I think we are. Certainly we're a more experienced team than we were last year. We certainly have more options than we did last year. So I think in a lot of respects, we're a different team, a better team, a more complete team than we were last year at this time. Whether that translates into maturity, teams act really, really mature when the ball's going in the basket. It's kind of funny about that, right? And all of a sudden they become very immature when the ball's not going in. So, I think the jury's still out, but I like where we are from a standpoint of how many people we have that are capable of helping us win a game that night, and that I think raises the comfort level of everybody.
Coach Sean Pagano, Fox 61. A few weeks back, a lot of talk about sending you folks out west and so forth. Now, obviously, have the opportunity of not leaving the state before the Final Four. How big is that for the players, for the state, for UConn fans alike here to be able to partake in it here at home?
That's one of the big pluses, I think, of having a really successful regular season. That does happen in every other sport. We did play ourselves into this position over the last month or so. Where they had everybody going a month ago and where everybody ended up, probably were a lot of discrepancy between those two things, not just in our case, but other people's. Playing at home has its advantages, obviously. It also comes with some downside in that you don't, if you're not careful, it just seems like another home game. So you don't really get to feel that tournament experience. It doesn't feel like an NCAA tournament game. A lot of the distractions that wouldn't be there on the road are here. But I think the part that matters the most is our team earned the right to play, here. And if we're fortunate enough to win this weekend, then we've earned the right to play in Bridgeport. But you have to be good enough to do that. So people say they can put you in any bracket they want. You still have to earn your way there. You still have to win games. And last time I checked, we lost to Louisville here. We lost to Villanova here. So it's not like we never lose at home. And I think whoever's the best team this weekend will win. And I think all 4 teams think they have a chance, and that's all that matters. That's it.
Carl Adamek, Journal-Inquirer. Gino, players were asked about, will it be more equitable? The NCAA talked about after last year with the weight room and everything, the food and everything that went on. Well, one thing we've seen anyway is March Madness behind you. Was it bizarre to you when you found out that the women weren't allowed to use March Madness? And, what were your feelings about that? And, that at least now you do have March Madness.
I don't know. I guess I'm pretty simplistic when it comes to this stuff. We've been in the NCAA tournament 30-some years, right? And until last year, it never occurred to me that we did or didn't have it. We played in the NCAA tournament. We played who we were supposed to play. We went where we were supposed to go, and we tried to win a national championship. It didn't occur to me that you had a weight room. Nobody touched a weight in 30 years in the NCAA tournament, so I have no idea. So I found out all these things last year, and so if it's important to a lot of people and it matters and it's significant, great. I'm all for it. I'm anxious to see how many teams play a lot better and win more games because the logo has helped them. But again, I think if it's enhances the experience, which I guess today, in the world that we live in, what it looks like, what it appears to be, and how it's presented, and all that seems to be really, really important. So I'm glad we have it.
Roger Cleveland from the Waterbury Republican American. Gino, you've always talked about the importance of guard play, especially in the tournament. But last year, Paige and Kristen were your 2 best players, and you didn't quite get over that hump. I mean, you went to the Final Four. But how big is the post play this year, and how far along have your 3 post players come together?
Yeah, the old saying is you can't win with just good guards, right? But you can't win with just good guards. So if you look at our NCAA championships, there are a lot of really good post players playing on those teams. And, as much as I truly believe that guards do control the game in not just the NCAA tournament, but in general, guards control the game. If you don't have the ability to score inside, the ability to handle defensively, rebounding-wise, the other team inside, all the guards in the world are not going to help you win. So I think we do have a good group of guards. I think we do have a good group of post players. And, when it comes to winning in the NCAA tournament, maybe in the early rounds, you can get away with just 1 out of the 2. But the deeper you go, and certainly when you get to the Final Four, you need to be able to count on both of those. And especially, I think, if shots aren't falling and you rely so much on your perimeter game, or if you're a transition team and you rely so much on your transition game. At some point, teams are going to be able to take the things away that you do well, and you're going to have to come up with more ways to win. And last year against Arizona, we didn't do that. We didn't do that. And hopefully this year, hopefully we get back to that point and see if we fix that issue. But right now, we got to figure out what works tomorrow against Mercer, and then we'll go from there.
Time for one last question up front here.
Pat Eatonrob from the AP. Coach, you had mentioned that you're facing a pretty experienced team tomorrow, fourth straight NCAA tournament for Mercer. And I know you talked to your team about anything can happen, but what happened last night with Kentucky and St. Peter's, does it open some eyes? Do you use that at all? Do you think it kind of brings home the point?
I don't think what happened yesterday is any different than what's happened in years past. If anybody's a student of the tournament, they know that there's teams out there that are way better than advertised. They're way better than people think. And you don't want to fall into that trap of, whatever the number is next to your name, that's going to dictate how the other team plays. You still have to go out and win the game. You still have to go out and play each game. And I think that comes from, hopefully, you've done that all year long. You've prepared yourself by treating every opponent with the same level of respect that, you would treat an NCAA tournament game, a Final Four game, a national championship game, a conference championship game. It doesn't matter. If your players get the impression during the course of the year that you prepare differently depending on who the opponent is, then, yeah, there's a chance that, you could be sitting there at the end of tomorrow going home because you didn't think they could win. Any team in the NCAA tournament is capable of winning on any night. Heck, I remember we had to make a couple free throws here a few years ago to beat Xavier to go to the regionals. There's a lot of really good teams out there, and if you take any of them lightly, it's at your own peril. And knock on wood, over all these years, we made it a point of emphasis, and we take pride in the fact that we don't take anybody lightly. We really don't care, what their record is, where they come from, what league they're in, how many All-Americans they have, any of that. We treat every team with the respect that they deserve, and we're going to do the same thing tomorrow.
All right, well, that's all the time we have. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Good luck tomorrow. That was like perfect timing.
Great job.
I don't know who logged into it.
Nate, they don't feed it out here, they feed it through here, we gotta hook up the sound board.
Okay.
He doesn't need to hear it.
But I'm just trying to figure out, like,
Computer logged in.
they had to make this computer a panelist to be able to.
That popped up for a second, but then it goes away.
Oh,
So
we should
I don't
do
know
that
what you were
again.
pushing on.
Did you hit accept or?
No,
just-
when I went to go hit accept, it went away.
So we'll do it now.
Can you do that again,
Can you push him to the panelist?
or send the notification again? think it's a guy.
And then you don't have to worry, or the audio's gonna come from there. You know what I'm saying?
Correct,
Even
yes.
though it's like a fake.
However you sent it, it popped up once before for like a couple seconds, and then the message went away.
What did you log into, your email?
So however you sent it before.
Want to do it to the UConn Gmail, the press room?
Probably better
Peter's
do.
is up there.
Okay.
Tell him your email before you head down,
Peter.Toro.
and then we'll just, once it pops up, leave it up.
But then I don't understand why it says
I just missed the entire first.
WBPC.
But I'm glad I did because the virtual thing wasn't working anyway.
I know, seriously.
Were we,
So-
I thought we were gonna move him over, right? But he just came in, I guess?
He came and sat next to me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And no one's gonna say otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah, Coach.
I wasn't gonna be like,
Excuse me, coach, no, thank you, I'm sitting right here. That's exactly what I figured. yeah.
I'm just glad he was in the
Yes.
15, and it was like spot on 15
Yes.
minutes, almost exactly.
It was exactly.
Yeah.
What do we got?
I think he's done it a few times.
Yeah.
Well,
That's true.
so when's the next one here?
UCFs, right?
And that's,
Yeah, it's 12:25.
we got a little time.
You sent a link?
And then did you see Mercer's?
Oh yeah, I haven't looked at I saw your email, so I'm assuming that's what that was.
Then I asked the kid how to pronounce the names, but.
Should I close out of the other one before I open this? Okay.
Nate, did you catch when I caught my phone?
Yeah. Oh, really?
Peter, where's Peter? Did he leave?
Yeah,
It's his email?
yeah. He said he left it open too.